What is going on? It is Dubs only, and we are coming to you only minutes after the fucking Golden State Warriors win the 2022 NBA championship. They win in 6 games, 103 to 90, 4-2 Warriors over Celtics, 4 championships in the last 8 years. This is freaking mind blowing. Josh Hall, I feel fantastic. I feel fucking tastic. How do you feel, man?
I am in absolute shock. Like it's starting to settle in, but it is just like I forgot this feeling. I forgot this feeling of how exciting it is to win.
It's been 3 years since the Warriors last won the champ. Or sorry, 4 years. 4 years since the Warriors last won the championship. Are we spoiled?
We are.
Yes, but
yeah, we're
like the last
spoiled.
4 years since then have been a roller coaster. They've been
But
crazy. It feels like the
never-
Warriors have been through everything since they fell short in 2019 to being back on top right now. And here we are. And it feels like, man, nothing could go wrong right now.
I think except for last year when we made the play-ins, we never were expected to do anything. So like it wasn't as disappointing. We sort of, I think as a Warriors fan base, we were all sort of just like, our time will come again. Everybody else was counting us out and just being like, they're done, they're washed, forget about it.
Sure.
But it's like the Warriors faithful, Dove Nation, who is like, nah, like our time is coming. You just gotta wait. We're gonna be healthy. We'll get Clay back. Like,
man, yeah. And that's what I was always thinking. You know, I was really holding on to that stat of like, hey, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, you know, every series that they've played where they've started every game, they are undefeated.
and it
And
still
you know what?
reigns
Now
true.
it still holds true. It still holds true. It's just like if the core of Steph, Clay, and Draymond is there. Every time I was in a group chat with my friends who are mostly Lakers fans, and I would try to, start shit because the Warriors have been on top of the league for the last several years. It's been based off of that basis of Steph, Clay, and Draymond have not lost a series yet. And if Clay comes back, the Warriors are going to be dangerous. And here they are, back on top.
We're champions.
And I want to run it back. Like it just feels like a different sort of appreciation for what the Warriors went through and overcame this season, because it's been a whole cycle and an entirely long process since 2019 when they lost to the Raptors. The Warriors' rebuild began during that game when Clay fell down and tore his ACL. Game 6, Clay was going off. Clay tears his ACL. Warriors lose that night. Kevin Durant leaves in free agency. They orchestrate a sign and trade. D'Angelo Russell's coming back to the Warriors. I wonder how that will be as a fit next to Stephen Curry with Draymond Green,
Glenn Robinson, Alec Burks,
Kai
Amari
Bowman.
Spellman, Kai Bowman,
Jacob
Willie
Evans
Cauley
playing good
Stein.
minutes, Alec Burks. The 2019 to 20 Warriors were different. They were a different breed. But Stephen Curry breaks his hand like 5 games in. Aaron Baines falls on top of him. Then suddenly the Warriors are the worst team in the league. 15 wins before the league gets suspended because of the coronavirus. I remember where I was when the NBA ceased operations. It's when the world really started shutting down during that 1 week in March where the world was just different, you know? The bubble comes back. The Lakers win the championship. Clay then tears his Achilles on draft day.
Draft night.
The Warriors draft James Wiseman, but now there's an entirely different landscape to what they need to shape their roster to be. They signed Kent Bazemore. They signed Kelly Oubre Jr. And
And
then it's a
it-
unique season.
it's another unique season for
Flashes of
sure.
brilliance, but also totally inconsistent. The Warriors didn't win 3 games in a row until the very end of the season. They lose a heartbreaker in the play into the Lakers, then lose a heartbreaker in the play into the Grizzlies, and miss the playoffs. Steph Curry leads the league in scoring, but it's not enough. And he'll still get slandered for it. He had that month after his tailbone injury against the Rockets, where he scored like 37 a game for a month and was just going crazy. It was awesome. Stephen Curry never stopped, but the Warriors fell short. So then the next summer, after the Milwaukee Bucks win the championship, they signed Otto Porter Jr. They
You're
signed
forgetting something
Nemanja
huge.
Bjelica.
You're forgetting something huge that happened in the 2020 season.
Please.
The Andrew Wiggins trade.
Oh, I did forget the Andrew Wiggins trade, huh? Man, my bad. It's almost 1 a.m. over here. Blame the Crown Royale. Andrew Wiggins, they trade D'Lo for Andrew Wiggins and a first
round draft pick.
That becomes Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors also draft Moses Moody with their own lottery pick. Head into the 2022 season, guns a blazing. Start off 9-1, hot. Everything's going their way. Clay comes back, but it's during a Draymond injury. They play like 11 seconds together. Then they have one complete game together against the Washington Wizards. Steph scores 47, but then he subsequently gets injured the next game against the Boston Celtics. They finish the season without him. Beat Denver in 5 games. Beat Memphis in 6. Beat Dallas in 5 games. Then defeat the Boston Celtics on their home court in game 6. And what do you know? The Warriors are back on top. It's unbelievable. Like, is it? I feel so spoiled, you know?
It's not
like,
as
this team is so unbelievable. Stephen Curry is a fantastic basketball player. He's just a winner. He finally gets the Finals MVP.
It's not as turbulent as other teams have gone through and other fan bases have gone through, right? I mean, think about the Sacramento Kings and the fans that they do have, right? Like, when was the last time that they have done anything relevant in the NBA, right? Nothing. So, like, you know, you got to feel bad about those, but like, what happened to the Warriors in this 3-year span was so much. I can't think in recent history how like quickly like a superstar team was just shot down, not because it got blown up, because contracts and luxury tax and different ways, like, you know, Miami Heat sort of fizzled out in, right?
Sure.
It wasn't like that. This was just shit luck, injuries, and God, the fact that they're back and they've won it, and that they're the 2022 NBA champions, like, I mean, you got to just, if you're a Warriors fan, if you live in the Bay Area, wherever you are and you're a Warriors fan, you just got to be through the roof right
just
now.
Get
Like,
your
this is
ass to the parade. You know, like this parade's gonna go crazy. You know, like when they won in 2015, it was the first championship in 40 years. It was like, damn, like this is crazy. The Warriors are back on top suddenly. I didn't think they would win the championship this year. And the Warriors since then have had this kind of aura to them of being when Kevin Durant joined the team, it was like, well, they're probably the title favorites, easily the title favorites. Win in 17, win in 18. Kevin Durant gets hurt. Klay Thompson gets hurt. They lose in 19. All the stuff that goes wrong. We've been through the roadmap that brings us back to it. But now it's like, cut all the slander. You know, all the excuses and the reasonings that people have given to how the Warriors were able to build this dynasty. Throw them out. Because this championship right here counts just as much as anybody else. There's one ring on this finger, and there's 3 other rings, and they're all equally heavy.
This is in what they were saying, right after the game, where it's like, this is like the most unexpected championship. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. Like, they didn't play at all together during the regular season. Steph's first game back off of injury was in the playoffs.
Yeah. Off the bench.
Like, they played what, 11, 16 games before going to the finals. Is that right? 5 in Denver, 6 in Memphis, 5 in Dallas.
16
games. You think that is like enough time to build all that chemistry and figure out the rotations? And like, they were just hitting their stride in the finals. And
they had no time to play together during the regular season. None.
And it really showed. Like, there was,
minutes.
Of course, periods during this NBA finals where it was like, man, like, they are not on the same page. They are not playing good basketball. But it was nights like tonight, for maybe except like the third quarter.
Sure.
Where it was just like, man, they are firing on all cylinders. They are on the same page. They're playing with energy, passion, grit, determination. They're fucking going for it.
It was Warriors basketball, and there was no time during it that every player was hitting, right? Klay Thompson had a pretty rough night tonight. Game 6, Klay did not really show up. He shot 5 for 20. Yet the game was always in hand for the Warriors.
And he hit key shots early.
Sure, like, totally.
Like, that's what set the tone. Like, yeah, he really didn't shoot well, like, later throughout the game, but he had some really nice clutch shots in those 5 shots that he did make.
Man, it's just unbelievable because, we can go in a lot of directions. We can say, hey, why don't we start looking forward to next season? Or how about the draft? Like, these things are coming our way real quick. We'll have draft episodes coming up soon. But to be honest, man, I haven't given a shit about the draft because the Warriors are right here, right now.
You have to think about putting them, they are in the conversation for the best span of teams in NBA history. I mean, come on, like, they're Bulls, Celtics, Showtime, Lakers contention worthy.
Yeah. The Warriors are up there. They are one of the greatest dynasties in sports history.
6 finals in 8 years, in 4 of those being championships. I mean, come on.
It's rare. That's where you and I need to ground ourselves because this team or a generational talent like Steph Curry doesn't come around that often. I remember when the Warriors drafted Stephen Curry, and you never expect this stuff. You can never, like, all-time legend is not something that you put on the draft prospect of, oh, this person could be one of the best ever. If any draft prospect would have had it, it would have been Wiggins in 2014. Andrew Wiggins is an NBA champion. It's all just perfect. It's artistic. Klay comes back off of 2 major injuries, wins a ring. Draymond Green has been around for 2 mediocre years. Still knows how to win a game. Still knows how to deliver the biggest moments. He had his best game of the series tonight, almost a triple double. Stephen Curry just. I'm at a loss of words for Stephen Curry because this guy just knows how to win. And when you hear his responses and the things he says, he's so humble. He's such a team player. He doesn't give a shit about ego. He just cares about winning. And that's exactly what the Warriors and the NBA need, because this team, this franchise, is back on top. And when I look forward to next year, Josh, I think about how the Warriors will have very much the same team next year. Can they re-sign OPJ? Can they re-sign GP2?
A lot of things.
I think GP2 will stay.
I think that, yeah, there's a lot of things that will determine their success. But the thing is, the core is the same. And I think every single guy on this team wants to stay. I think it's similar to that 2015 where it was just a group of guys who all got along and love being around each other. And
yeah,
I think we can get a lot into that into like our off-season draft episodes and however we continue,
but for right now, it's just like, hey, the Warriors are champions. Champions, man. This is unbelievable. Like, we didn't see this one coming. I've always been confident that this team could win championship or playoff series with their core intact. But we hadn't seen that in over 3 years. And then suddenly they get back into it. And there's nobody beating this team. The Celtics look demoralized for most of this game. Wiggins said Jason Tatum clamped up.
Yeah, one thing we really haven't done is get into the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they start off going on a 12-2 run, right? Like Celtics, boom, get out, go ahead. Everybody expected that. I don't think there's a single person who follows the NBA, watched this game that was expecting the Warriors to do that to the Celtics.
I remember
like you knew they were going to come on.
Yeah. I turned on like the pregame show and it was all those ESPN analysts choosing their winner of the game. And none of them chose the Warriors to win. The Celtics were 4-point favorites going in. And that 14-2 start that they had was convincing. It was scary, I totally could have seen this going in one of those directions where, damn, the Warriors blow another chance to close the game out on the road. They'll have to maybe, like, this could be a blowout. They could lose this one.
But then with like 2 minutes, 30 seconds left in the first, they really start to pick it up. I mean, they go from it being 12-2, they get it to be 20-16 with about 3 minutes left. And from that point, the first quarter ends 27-22. I mean, you go for a 25-10 swing for the rest of the first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And then it continues into the second. I mean, the Celtics don't score another point until 10 minutes in the second quarter. And at that point, it's 37-25.
To me, it felt like the game was over.
It did. It really did. And I was like, I was watching with my roommate, and I was like, I don't want to call it yet because it's so early. But the Celtics don't look up for the challenge, and the Warriors look locked in.
They look defeated. The Celtics seemed defeated. Where were they going to go? Al Horford kept them in the game, man. He had 19 points, like 4 or 5 from 3. He was playing great.
It was Jason Tatum in the first quarter. I mean, in the first half, Jaylen Brown to Jason
Jaylen
Tatum
Brown.
to an extent.
Hey
Jaylen
man,
Brown
like
went
hey,
off.
if let's start a dialogue. You know, I'm gonna get a little controversial here. What do you think of Jason Tatum?
That's a really broad question. Um,
Answer it then with however you please.
I think Jason Tatum has the potential to be a multiple time MVP. I think just raw offensive ability. His bag is deep. He's long. He's athletic. He can play that small forward stretch four role, right? A little bit of
Totally.
he's really versatile. But he just didn't lock in. He was careless tonight, a little lethargic. I think maybe it was just the wear and tear of, really for the Celtics, it's been 2 years of really intense, long basketball.
The Celtics have been competing for years, man. They've made conference finals appearances 2018. They've been a competitive team in the Eastern Conference for years. For
But
Jason Tatum's entire career, really.
he had
This
2
is my
points
takeaways from
in the
watching the
second half.
series.
He had 2 points in the second half of this game.
Yeah. He got my takeaway is that Jason Tatum was overpowered. I think that I agree with you. He totally has the skill set of somebody who could win multiple MVPs. But Jaylen Brown totally outplayed him in the series. The Celtics needed him to deliver more, and Andrew Wiggins was shutting him down. Maybe it's not just Andrew Wiggins. Maybe it was some of Tatum just not playing his best basketball. But I can see him bouncing back next season. The Celtics
100%.
know what it takes to get to this point. 2 wins away from a championship.
They have,
but 2 wins away from a championship or missing the playoffs entirely, it's the same result. You don't win.
They have all the pieces. They have all the pieces.
Totally.
They are maybe, I would say, I think you could upgrade Derek White. I think you could upgrade Grant Williams. Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple upgrades you could make to your bench. I think a fully healthy Robert Williams makes a huge. I mean, he was going nuts this game.
He's
nuts,
an awesome
and he's
player.
playing.
I'm a
he's
big
playing
fan of
on
Robert
one
Williams.
knee. He's playing on one knee basically, and to think what he can do with not only more experience, but also a fully healthy body. Sky's the limit for him, and sky is really the limit for the Celtics. If they can keep this core together and capitalize,
I think they can
on what they have now. Because I mean, Horford's not getting any younger.
True. Even though Horford's one of their most consistent performers, the Celtics, like Smart, Tatum, and Brown have been together for what 4 or 5 years. That's more than the average trio has been together in the NBA. The Warriors can see it from a sense of like rarity. Steph, like we've seen a lot of the sound bites from media day yesterday when Clay and Draymond were talking about how him and Steph and Dre sit on the plane together all the time and how it's so unusual because they've been together for 10 years. They recognize how rare it is and how unique it is. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum could totally be together for another 5 years. They could absolutely contend for another championship. They are a great team, and sometimes it takes a loss to teach you what it needs to, what it requires to win.
Tatum, Brown, and Williams are all 24 and 25.
Young, so much time left.
Marcus Smart is 28. He's still got years left. Horford is 36. I mean, you got maybe a year, 2 years left of him.
Okay, Curry's 34. It's different. It's totally different, but he could still
he can compete. I mean, you saw old guys, but Grant Williams is 23. I didn't know that actually. Uh, Derek White, 27. They have pieces together. They're young. It's not like they're built like some of those Cavs teams where it was LeBron, it was like the stars and then like a bunch of old farts, right? Like Mike Miller, Richard Jefferson,
right.
Verjao. Like you have a good core all together. And I think they'll compete in the East and be one of the top 3 teams in the East next year for sure. And I think Tatum goes into this offseason and he really digs in. I think I like Tatum. I like Tatum a lot.
He is a great player.
He's a really good player. He's really exciting.
And their defense is fantastic, man.
Yeah, I mean, their coach, credit to him, he got them playing really well second half
First year
of the
coach,
season.
only up from here.
Only up.
They have a bright future.
Props to the Celtics.
Yeah, it was one of the more exciting series that I've watched as a Warriors fan for the last several years. And going into it, it seemed like these teams are on a very level playing field. But you and I both knew that if the Warriors could play to the level that they are capable of, I think they could beat anybody. And then I don't think they ever played to their best capability during the season, during the series.
No.
Clay was missing his shots. Wiggins was missing his shots. Poole played fine. Steph Curry played solid. Draymond was like for most of the series. The Warriors have had wins where everybody's been at their peak. And it's just it's not even a contest.
This isn't like a one and done thing either. This isn't just like an anomaly. And it's like the league should not just be like, okay, they won and then they'll be mediocre again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is we are back. We are dangerous. If we are fully healthy and we bring core pieces back, watch out. Because you're going to have
next year.
No, you do not. And I don't think anybody does. And if they want the smoke, they're going to get the smoke. Like it's knocking on wood, fully healthy, perfect, clean off season. You know, we'll dive into it when we do more off season episodes, but like this feels amazing.
We can let this one like we have some celebration time ahead of us before breaking down draft picks and stuff. Man, like I don't want to look at the 2022 NBA draft right now. I want that, another piece for the Warriors' future. But I'm more excited about the parade. Come on. The Warriors deserve this. Stephen Curry deserves this. Watching Stephen Curry get so emotional as the seconds, fell off the clock and the Warriors clinched the championship, it strikes a chord. It's like, this has been such a difficult journey. Some franchises, like if it's the Sacramento Kings, you're like, damn, we've never won a championship. But this run of the Warriors recently has shown us how the highest of highs can be followed by the lowest of lows. And that you never know when an opportunity to win a championship might arise again. And after 3 years of ups and downs and a lot of challenges and a lot of things thrown in our faces, the Golden State Warriors prevail. And you and I are lucky to just be followers and just fans of this team because they find ways to win no matter what. And here we are, 7 years to the date after winning the first championship of this run. It's not over. It's not over.
Not over. And we're gonna be riding this high all the
All
way till
year.
Monday, all summer, all year, and all the way until Monday, where we're gonna get to see the Warriors parade.
Is that it? Is it on Monday?
It's on Monday.
All
And
right.
and thank God that I have work off on Monday, right?
You do?
Because yeah, I
Monday? That's
do.
not a holiday, is it?
It is. It's Juneteenth.
Hey,
Celebrating
not
Juneteenth.
bad.
So, I'll be watching the parade, soaking in the rays
Mhm.
from afar. But man, it feels great.
Oh man, it's so nice. The Warriors are the NBA champions. Stephen Curry has his Finals MVP. Both so well deserved. And now suddenly, basketball season is over. Now we have to watch freaking baseball for 4 months.
Hey, don't slander baseball.
I will. Baseball needs to speed the shit up. NBA draft is right around the corner. All that shit that you go through in association mode in 2K, where you're like getting ready for the next season, re-signing the coaching staff. The Warriors are losing Kenny Atkinson and Mike Brown off of their coaching staff. Josh, you and I will look into what options the Warriors have to complete that going into next season. Free agency options, draft pick options. There's a lot to be determined between now and the next season.
There's a lot to go that's going to go on, and it's going to be really exciting to track it all, especially after a championship. It'd be a lot
championship,
more
a freaking championship.
It would be so much more disappointing if we were talking about the off season after a loss and like losing the NBA
Finals.
Finals.
We do it. It's
but it's not how we do it here. Dubs only. Every
no
time
else.
We predicted a series win. The Warriors have now 4 championships in the last
8 years.
8 years.
Oof.
And man, when we started this podcast, in the Memphis series, it was right at the end of the Nuggets series. It was somewhere around there. I didn't know if we would make it to the finals. I didn't know if we would end with a championship and the playoffs with a championship. But it feels so good.
It feels amazing. Feels great. And you and I are just aren't even parts of this, We're just people out there who really resonate with the vibe of this team and love winning. I'm a competitive person, yet somehow since when the Warriors won their first championship 7 years ago, my life was so different than how my life is now. But the Warriors and my fandom is incredibly consistent, where I feel like it's steady growth all the way through. 7 years to the date between the first championship and tonight. We're going to be riding this high for all summer, and the team deserves it. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, everybody deserves this. And you know what? I want to say like you and I deserve it too, in a way of like as stupid as it might sound, like I feel like we're a little bit of like I'm a part of this team, It's like I ride and die with it. I follow everything. I had Fitz and JB on the radio call for Summit tonight too, in Tim Roy's place. The Golden State Warriors are back on top, and it feels right. And here we are, just being passionate fans of and admirers of what's been going on. So it's special. And and I'm already like, excited for next year. Who's going to beat them next year?
And maybe that's our prediction to end the episode, right?
What?
because we have no prediction for the next game, but we can only say our bold predictions for the 2022-2023 NBA season, right?
Sure.
So, your prediction for the
For the Warriors?
2022-23 NBA, who's your champion for next year? If you had to say it right now.
I want to see a Warriors versus Milwaukee Bucks series. You know, I won't go into who wins it. Obviously, I want the Warriors, but I want to see like a fully healthy, no excuses Warriors versus Giannis and the Bucks. Drew Holiday against Steph. What do you think?
I'd be very okay with that. Just not the Miami Heat. Anybody but the Heat. Not because I think they would beat the Warriors. I just don't like their basketball.
Man, the opinions are really coming out for me right now. But man, that is it. Like the Warriors on June 16th, 2022, win their 4th championship in 8th year, 7 for the franchise in history on the 75th anniversary of the NBA's foundation. Stephen Curry earns his first Finals MVP award, and it is just pure bliss from my point of view. And Josh, like I thoroughly enjoy following this team. It is awesome. I just cannot wait for everything ahead and to watch the parade and to look at more footage of the champagne popping in the locker room tonight. It is awesome. And Dubs Only has so much ahead. Who knows what's next? But right now we are freaking celebrating.
Dubs Only, baby.